now you've got the 2-iron at Jacksonville or TPC a couple years ago. You know, pretty easy shot for me. I'm just trying to aim it in the middle of the green, and the pin's semi-front right and faded in there. I am 7 under at the time, so I haven't done much wrong. And I start getting this thing cutting, and I'm in a little bit of trouble right about here, and then another good break. You know, you got to get those once every 18 years, and I've had 2. But, you know, I'm shaking my head thinking that's stupid. I think Colin Montgomery and Tommy Tolles are right there, and you know, it's a par 5, and then I have this putt, a fairly simple putt, and it looks great again right here, and Scott Gump and I are thinking it's in, and it goes in. So that clinched it as long as I could play these next 2 holes. And here I'm not even, like Augusta, now I'm not even looking at the pin. I'm looking right at the middle of the green, and good swing. I hit it right where I was looking, which is 30 feet left of the hole, and if I could have caught a slope like the one I made last year, that would have been very close, but I'm a little disappointed that it didn't. And then now I have this downhill putt that I am just basically lagging. Just tapping it, and it's going and going and going, and you know, it's breaking and goes right in the hole. So lots of people had a good time with that. Ray Floyd, you know, taught me a couple things. One was to get the people going crazy. I think Colin had said he backed off his shot on 16 and heard the roars. And then here, you know, again, I do things that I think I can do, and I'm aiming it over the water and just trying to hit a big slice. I don't really like laying up as long as I have a swing, and I overcut it to the right, which is great, and get it up and down and make par, and I think win by 3 or 4 shots.
Well, laying up, not laying up, then is another thing you have in common with Arnold.
Yeah, well, you know, we have a couple of things, and here's a short putt, which I've won the TPC twice, two fun weeks. The first time, I never thought I'd win a tournament like that, and then I've really never won shooting 64 on the last day, so that was pretty special.
Which meant more, given that in '84 when you won, you were playing with arguably the 2 best players at the time, Watson and Seve Ballesteros, and beat everybody.
Well, Trevino was there too, so I don't want to let you not know that in '84, but totally different times. I mean, they were 12 years apart. You know, this back stuff is not a big deal to me. I mean, I won after I hurt my back. You know, people hurt themselves all the time, but for me, it was another big tournament. You know, some think it's a major, it's the 5th major, whatever. I like to win any tournaments, but when they're that big, it's a good feeling. And going down there, beating Colin and Tommy Tolles was a good feeling. 64 was a better feeling.
Did your dad at that time decide that maybe it wasn't a good idea that he hung up on you for turning pro a few years earlier?
You know, he didn't have a problem once I got on the tour and started playing. But that first phone call, I can remember like it was yesterday. But his problem, he thinks I'd have been a better baseball player, which I doubt.
Well, naturally.
Right.
We're going to take a little break. As we leave, we're going to see your swing. When we come back, we'll visit with teacher Paul Marchand, and we'll talk about your golf swing. And we'll do that in just a moment. Welcome back to Golf Talk Live. We are now joined, and it's a delight to be joined by Freddie's teacher, Paul Marchand, who's been working with him for 11 years now. Great to have you with us.
Hey, Peter, thanks. A pleasure to be here, really.
Thank you. One of the great things about Freddie's swing, among others, is that it always looks like it's about rhythm and timing, and that when he gets to the top, and Freddie and I have talked about this before, that you could go out and have a sandwich, come back, and he would just be starting down.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little about that.
Well, he's got incredible power and grace. I mean, he's a very gifted athlete. I think you mentioned earlier Bobby Jones. We were talking about swings, and you know, he reminds me a lot of that kind of grace. It's a certain kind of talent, really. And then when he gets down to the ball, all heck breaks loose, and it's unbelievable what happens, how much power there is when it looks like there's no effort being expended. It is amazing to watch.
How do you find your rhythm and timing on a day-to-day basis? What do you look for as you're getting ready to play till it clicks in and you say, I'm there?
Well, I think Paul by watching me, whether he's with me or on TV or whatever in the shop, would say, you know, sometimes this rhythm and timing is a little bit too much. I get too slow and lazy. So it's more of a coil and get to the top, and I have a little bit of a hitch and sometimes overswing, and those are my problems. But I've always swung like that, so it's very hard for me to do anything else. And I think it's a key for me would be, and some of the things I work on is basically getting the club back, and as we're doing now, is making a better turn.
Are you loose enough to make a couple of golf swings for us?
I'll try, sure.
Make a couple of swings for us. And Paul, I'm going to make some comments. You stay right here, Paul. He's not going to hit you. Come right here.
You know,
if you don't trust him, we're all in big trouble.
No, I trust him.
Okay.
I could.
You know, he's got a very strong grip. His club does cross the line and point right of target, which is exactly what Jones used to do.
Right.
A strong grip, the club pointing right of target.
Right.
So he's obviously not thinking, I must have perfect mechanics, whatever they are. How important is that for the golfers at home to take that advice for themselves?
Well, he does have very good mechanics, and especially down around the impact area, he's in incredible positions, okay? But he mentioned earlier about, you know, playing by instinct and letting it rip, and so he does it his way, and his way is by feel. And so that incredible turn that he's making, I mean, that wind-up that he has, and then the route of the club coming down, I mean, it's just a lot of natural ability and some incredible mechanics. But just as he's a little across the line up at the top, I mean, he compensates coming down beautifully and turns left very quickly and recocks very quickly, a lot like Jones.
Now, you guys have to have particularly high-quality practice time, given that your back's only going to tolerate so much of this nonsense. What do you try to do to shortcut the process, but still make sure that everything that Freddie needs to be doing, he's doing? Perhaps you can answer that.
Well, we used to have a ball. I would go see Paul. I'm not so much a one-day guy. I would say 3 days to 6 days, and we would hit in the morning. We would hit early in the morning, and we would hit early in the afternoon, then we would go play holes. So I hit a ton of balls, and I would do that, for me, 4 or 5 days, and I would be ready. I think Paul has been to at least 5 or 6 tournaments I've won, and then he's left earlier in the week when I've also won before too. So when he shows up, I basically, you know, sometimes we fight like anybody, but I listen and learn. And in the year that I played well, we worked on short game more than the swing because I felt like I had it, and that was the biggest boost. But I'm sure he can tell you a lot more than that. But I think for me, it was mainly learning how to chip and putt and save shots on par 5s or after I miss greens, and that's where he has helped me more than the swing. The swing I have, he fine-tunes it, but the short game really saved me tons of shots.
Well, we have an international question from Japan that talks just about that subject, and I'm going to just go ahead and read it for our viewers. You are known for your driving ability, but what impresses me most is your wedge play. Show me your pre-shot routine to obtain distance control with your wedges.
Well, that's a great question. I think one of the best things that I do is when I play well, I drive it a long ways, and I have a lot of wedges to greens, and I'm a field player, so you know, I can feel a sand wedge that's 80 yards or 82 yards or 86 yards. Most players can do that. I just feel like my strength is doing it. If I'm playing my best, most of the time I'm pin high, and if those pin high shots get close to the pin, then that day I'm on and I have shorter birdie putts. I'm not going to come up way short or way long, but my pre-shot routine is I always stand behind the ball and I try and picture a shot. So lots of times on a hole that I've hit a good wedge, I'll focus in on that and I'll think about that, not anything about rhythm. And if I've got 110 yards, then basically I have a 110-yard swing. And if it's 120 or 125 yards, then I know that's a full wedge. But anything down is by doing it over and over and over, I know in my mind that I can hit my wedge a certain distance.
Do you need to make, though, a practice swing or two to feel the difference between 82 and 86 before you actually pull the trigger, or not?
You know what it is, and he likes when I take a little short practice swing. So for instance, tomorrow, here's what it would look like. It would be here in a short little tight swing, then I basically step right up into it and take a look and then hit the ball. A lot of times now, since I'm really working on my swing a little more, distance is a little bit of a problem. Today I hit a lot of good irons, but some were short and long. But I think that lazy swing, I can feel whether I'm hitting a 7-iron 145, 155, or 160, and I think that's a great thing that I do. A lot of times my swing gets loose and lazy and I hit mediocre shots, but when I am playing well, I can feel almost every shot because I'm a field player.
Let's go ahead and take a call from one of our viewers. Wade from Tennessee wants to ask you a question about your golf swing. Go ahead, Wade.
Freddie, I'm a big fan of yours, and I wish you a lot of luck on this year's tour. Glad to hear you're going to be playing some more. One question I have is, on your backswing, the slight pause that you have, what purpose or what benefits do you see from that pause? I also have a slight pause, and I take some heat from playing partners. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, we're getting a little bit, not over my head, but Paul, I mean, I've always had a pause, Wade, and so I don't think there's anything wrong with it. One of the drills that I do, and Paul has shown me that, is I get to the top of my swing, and I can almost check on how short I am, and then I can hit the ball. For me, that's a drill, but I think as far as mechanically, Paul would probably be a better answer to say yay or nay on having a pause in your swing.
Yeah, I try to help Fred get the club in position at the top where he knows coming down he doesn't have a whole lot of rerouting to do and doesn't have he actually tends to loop the club too much from the inside, which is an overdone good thing. You know, his problems are overdone good things. The pause, his change of directions happens so fluidly, and the acceleration coming down is so smooth. And I actually think it relates some to the last question. That helps him hit the ball solidly and purely, you know, all the time. And he sounds like he's having all these variations in yardages, but it's amazing how flush he hits the ball consistently. And the way he produces the speed at the bottom is so consistent. And I think that slight, you know, slow change of direction, slight pause, really helps him get things going the other way and collect himself up there with that incredible timing to hit it so solidly all the time.
You know, people think that he falls out of bed and that they drive him to the first tee and that the swing just falls into place. Give us 10 seconds on his real work ethic.
Well, he's like Joe DiMaggio, you know, I mean, he looks like he's just kind of sauntering around out there, but, you know, he loves golf and loves to hit good shots, and he's really somewhat of a perfectionist about how he hits the ball and what shot he's trying to play. And so he gives the appearance of kind of being loose and lazy, and he does have that way in his swing. But he, you know, he is a closet practicer and has worked over the years incredibly hard to develop his talents, which are extreme. But, I mean, anybody that's risen to his level has had to work immensely with some intense goals in mind of how good they wanted to be. I mean, to win the Masters, I mean, that doesn't just happen rolling out of bed.
And despite what we see in his laid-back demeanor, he used to throw clubs as a kid, and his heart is secretly on fire, right?
You know, maybe not on fire, but he has a certain kind of intensity about how to play. And actually, in golf, I think it helps to have some control about how much fire you play with. I mean, if you get too much over the edge, I mean, that can be a problem, whereas in some other sports, the adrenaline will make you run faster or jump higher. In golf, there's a certain sameness where collecting that and taking the good with the bad is a major part of the mental side. And he has it in spades, even though he says he doesn't worry about the mental part. That's because he's talented.
So glad you could take some time to be with us tonight.
It's a privilege. I love your show. I steal all the ideas I can watch from here always.
Well, I stole them all from Bobby Jones. We're going to take a very short break, and we will be right back with Freddie Couples and you right after this. Cool. Every week on Golf Talk Live, you have the opportunity to email a question to our guest, and the question for Freddie tonight is, Fred, you often seem as though you're relaxed when playing. Is this the way you really feel inside?
No. Pretty simple no. I think being nervous is not that big a deal. I think I've heard lots of people say, you know, Paul Azier, my hands were shaking when he won the Tournament of Champions a few years ago. Or the Players' Championship, the end of the year one, whatever it's called. And I get that way also, but you're so good that it takes over. Other times you're a nervous wreck and things happen that you don't really want to happen. Maybe a pull hook in the trees, or you hit a chip shot fat. But I think for me, the greatest thing I do is, I hope that I do, once that's over, you know, I go to the next tournament and I try and get that out of my mind, just like if I win a tournament. But relaxed is how I feel. And then when the nitty-gritty comes, you know, sometimes my game lets me down because I get a little nervous.
How important to your education as a player and as a grown-up was the period from the '89 Ryder Cup, where you felt you had let everybody down when you actually had played pretty solid all day and it just happened to be a critical moment, but it was a really tough time, and then 2 years later in '91, you really played phenomenal, which makes me sort of think that those were the events that jump-started 1992 and the best year that you ever had.
Well, you're exactly right. And I think in '86, I'd had my worst year on tour, and I hooked up with Paul, who I knew from school a long, long time, but started working with him. And my game got better in '87, '88, and I made the Ryder Cup team. You know, I thought not that big a deal, you know, I'm on the team. And then when I got there, and we were playing in Europe, and I felt like no one was on our side, and they were all rooting very hard against us. And it was not like it is today, where some Americans will go over there. But make a long story short, you know, our captain was Ray Floyd, and we had Tom Watson and Curtis Strange and Cal Kavecki and King Green, and a list of great, great players. And when I had hit, although Christy O'Connor hit a 2-iron, I think like this, I had missed the green with a 9-iron. I had hit a great drive and basically choked. I mean, if he hadn't hit such a good shot, I think I'd have maneuvered a little better shot in there, but I didn't. And then after that, you know, I just couldn't handle it for that whole night. And when I got back, and I think I realized, you know, how much something affected me in golf. I mean, at that time, when you win or lose a tournament, you don't really care. You know, you call your parents, or you call your wife, or you call someone, and they say, yeah, you'll get him next time. And this time, every time I looked at Ray Floyd, I just started, you know, I lost it for you, I'm sorry, you know, and all this. And it took a while, and that's when we became much better friends, and I learned a lot from him. But at that time, I knew that I wanted to be a better player.
So when the 2 years passed and you had the chance to do it again.
Right. Well, I had my partner, Ray Floyd, and I thrived on that. I felt much more comfortable. You know, we got off to a great start, and Kiel was a very difficult course. But again, I was playing extremely well. I had just won the BC Open the week before, so I went up there, you know, ready to go. And anytime I feel like I'm playing at my best, I have a ton of confidence. And when I'm not playing well, I still have that confidence, but I have this, like, no shot is going to be too difficult. And in the Ryder Cup, that's a great feeling to have, because every shot is difficult.
Recreational players feel that way one day a year.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little break. We'll be right back and spend a few more minutes with Freddie Couples. Your great friend Davis Love III is another player who, no matter what he does, it's not good enough for the press. What was your reaction as his friend and as a fan of the game to see him win the PGA Championship?
Well, we were staying together with some people right off the course, great couple, and you know, Saturday night, he's leading the tournament. He comes back after a long, long day, and basically you had the beat out of him, you know, how'd you play? And the next morning, he got up and packed, and he was ready to go. And I remember him changing outfits 2 or 3 times because he had only had a couple of pair of pants. I said, Davis, just go out there and have a good day. And obviously, at the end, you get really, really excited, and I was thrilled for him. He is such a great guy. I say that every time someone asks me, and couldn't happen. You know, when they say it couldn't happen to a better guy, that was Davis.
You seem happier than you have in quite some time and less troubled. And tell me, given what it appears to be, what do you hope for the near term? What are you looking to have happen?
You know, for me, I would love, golf is what I do. I would love to play a little better. I'm going to start practicing a little more. I've got Paul here, and I'm going to see him before Augusta and do all that. Personally, you know, I couldn't be happier. Thais is fantastic. I love her very much, her 2 kids. So for me, I feel very good about myself. Obviously, the passing of my father was very difficult. You know, that everyone has a dad, and when they go, you don't really know what to do. And I honestly think for me, you know, I don't know how to put it. I was okay with it because I talked to him just a little bit, you know, about it. And he was very tough. And when I went up there the last couple times, you know, he was more, you know, can you move my arm, or, you know, very honoring and very difficult because he'd had enough. And earlier in the year, sat down just a couple times and we basically talked, you know, about golf and how excited he was for me. And I think he was comfortable because he knew his time was coming up.
Well, he got to see you grow into a great champion, and you were a great son, and he had a long and happy life.
Well, I appreciate it. I've been waiting to come on this show. It's taken me a long time.
I'm not going to wait 3 years for the return
Okay.
engagement.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here. We'll see you very soon on Golf Talk Live. Good night, everybody.